Welcome, everyone, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. Thank you to everyone who has listened to last week. I didn't know people actually listen to this podcast, but evidently enough people do. They said, Tim, thanks for the PSA about the pneumonia shot. I'm going to get one. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm clearly hitting a key demographic.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm hitting a key demographic. Hey, you've heard about the Yellow Brick Road with Wizard of Oz. You've heard about Abbey Road with the Beatles. You've heard of On the Road with Jack Kerouac, which is about doing a bunch of drugs and driving and then dying somewhere. You've heard The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is not a positive, uplifting father-son bonding experience. These are all roads, but today I have a very special guest. And I know every week I say I have a very special guest, but this time...
They're all special.
No, this one I actually mean it. I've been trying to get you on here for a long time.
I know.
And I have been trying because not only is my very special guest somebody who is related to a road, but this person basically created modern wine marketing in the North Bay from formerly the Wine Road. Beth Costa. Beth, how are you doing?
I'm fabulous because I've retired.
I know. That's the whole shtick. I was
That's
trying
the
to
thing.
Get you, and then you're like, when you're retired, I'm like, I'm getting you up
That's
here.
the highlight.
Beth, so you retired from the Wine Road effective, like what, a couple weeks ago?
Just a couple weeks ago, and I was there 26 years, so it was a long time.
26 years.
26 years is a
Since
long time.
2000.
Yeah, that's when I started.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. But before we do, is there anything that we can do to celebrate your retirement?
Well, I like to drink a lot of champagne. So I thought if I'm going to go on the show with Tim, so I did bring a bottle of bubbles for us to open up.
I love this.
I'm sorry to say I did not have anything from Sonoma Valley. I drank a lot of Ferrari Corona, or Gloria Ferrer.
Right.
And I thought, I'll bring that.
Right.
And then I don't have any because I've drank it all.
Well, and I like to hear that. It's also bringing Coles to Newcastle, right? Like we've got that here. You should bring something from your region.
So here I brought a bottle of Cast.
Good.
And they are out in Dry Creek Valley.
Okay.
And when I had an office, it was in Healdsburg, and I live in Cloverdale.
Okay.
So I would go down Dry Creek Road to go home every day instead of getting on the highway.
Right.
And you turn right at Dutcher Creek Road, and right next to the corner of Dutcher Creek is the driveway to Cast.
Okay.
And so quite often my car would automatically turn
there.
up the driveway instead of at the corner. So I do love this particular
Get the
sparkling.
sound pop on the
Let's
mic. Ready?
see.
Oh, that was good. You're good at that.
So that's I practice. I keep practicing. It's not that I want to drink it, but it's like I'm just trying to refine that little pop.
I'm not good at it. Got to keep practicing. All right, so that's a nice looking champagne. It's a is it a Blanc de Noir or Blanc de Blanc or?
This is just a Blanc de Blanc.
Okay, what does that mean again, Beth?
It's a
Blanc de Blanc.
grown. It's a state grown in Dry Creek. This particular one. They make some from. They have a Napa sparkling. They have several. They have a nice rosé also. So this is what is this? This is it just says this is Brute Nature.
Okay.
State grown.
Nature.
Dry Creek Valley. So here's to retirement,
Hey,
Tim.
Beth,
Someday
congratulations.
that will happen for you.
Oh, someday. Well, I drink to you, and I'll do a little toast here, and that's.
So I've always liked sparkling, and no matter where you're at these days, almost every winery you go to is going to make a sparkling wine. It's just the thing. But I've been drinking this for 15 years. I've always thought it pairs with everything.
It does, and sparkling. It's so good. It's so crisp. It's so easy. And oftentimes, I mean, we're all in Sonoma County, one big family.
Yeah.
People come up here and they think, oh, are there rules for drinking wine or how does it work? And I'm like, one, no, there are no rules.
Right.
Do what you want. But two, sparkling is always a good choice.
It is always a good choice, and I just find that it pairs with everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have I can have it on Taco Tuesday. I can have sparkling if that's what I want. And I think that when I first started really enjoying sparkling wine, everybody would say, well, what are you celebrating? And I'm thinking, I just don't understand the concept that it was only for a celebration. You'd have it at a wedding or you'd have it for a birthday. It's like it does pair with everything, and it's a great way if you're going to have another wine for your meal. Maybe this is you just start with some sparkling.
It's classic. Also, it's just interesting that oftentimes people think, oh, sparkling wine's expensive. It's the same cost as still wine, as they say, the professionals.
Right.
But it's so easy, so cool. You should always have it in your fridge.
I do. I make that.
I've got two in there right now.
I do. I always have it in the fridge. It's delicious. I used to have a license plate that said "Got Bubbles."
Really?
And I thought, well, probably not a good thing for me to drive around with. But
ma'am, you are under arrest.
Yes.
What do you got there? Beth, tell me, okay, Wine Road, let's start there. What is or was, since you're no longer there, what is the Wine Road?
Well, I am super happy to say that actually it's an association that really represents wineries. And this year, 2026, is the 50th anniversary of the Wine Road.
Okay.
Which, that's a super big deal. When it was first formed, really wineries, a group of like 5 or 6 wineries got together and realized if they helped each other bring customers, they could get more people in the tasting room.
Oh, you got the wineries to work together.
Yeah, so they started. That was on their own. They just realized they printed a map that was an 8.5 by 11 hand-drawn map to these 5 little wineries, and they drew the river, the Russian River down the middle. And it really started as, it was called the Russian River Wine Road. Okay. So it was wineries along that region. And really nobody went wine tasting 50 years ago.
Right.
So if you saw 2 people at a winery, you were excited. So it just grew and grew and grew. We reached the point where we had almost 200 wineries.
Wow.
When I started, we had 79. And so that was 26 years ago.
You started 26 around year 2000.
Yeah.
So the organization had already existed for quite some time.
And it was just run by a board of directors. And I was on the board of directors.
It was all volunteer.
That was it. It was all volunteer work. And we realized at that point, to really grow this organization, someone had to be picking up the mail every day and answering the phone and responding to people. And so when I was hired, we started our first website. Okay. Most wineries did not have a website, 26 years ago. It seems like that's been around forever, but it's not.
It's relatively,
and to connect with wineries, with our members, one of the first things I had to do was just create a list of who are the members, who has paid. They pay to be a member. Right. And then we put them on the printed map at the time. And then the new website, which was, modern technology. But then to communicate for things, everything was faxed. I mean, I'd have to fax, 80 wineries and then wait for their fax to come back. So, a lot has changed, and we've put on some huge events, barrel tasting in March. This was, I think, the 48th year.
Did you invent the barrel tasting?
Yes. Well, we didn't invent it, but it really started in France, the idea of getting into the cellar and tasting from the barrel.
The idea of making a big event in North America.
Was us, yeah.
And what is barrel tasting, real quick?
So you really, it's like being a winemaker for the day, sort of. You get to go into the cellar at these wineries, and normally you might pay extra for a tour where you're going in the cellar. Right. So barrel tasting weekend, you get into the cellar, and they have the winemakers there. If they're buying grapes from different growers, they'll have the growers there. And they're pulling wine out of the barrel into your glass for you to taste. Okay. So you're going to taste wine that might not be bottled for 6 months or 12 months or longer.
So it's not yet finished
it's
wine
not finished.
In the sense of a thing.
But if you spend the day doing it, there's definitely wines that as a novice taster, you think, oh my God, like I can't hardly drink this. I mean, it's just so strong. And then there's other wines in the barrel that you think, I would buy this today. It's amazing.
Right.
So it really teaches you how it evolves, and with the oak, how that imparts the wine. A lot of wineries during barrel tasting will pour, the barrel wine of, Tim's Vineyard Cab next to the current vintage that's in the bottle. So you can kind of compare that, and it's a great little educational experience. You're talking to the winemaker, they can tell how harvest went that year. And winemakers, their memories blow my mind. I mean, they remember that it rained on Tuesday before they picked. They remember everything.
Yes. So,
barrel tasting is super cool. And, I think this was the 48th or the 49th year of barrel tasting. So it's really one of the longest running wine events in the country.
I think it is. And what I liked about barrel tasting, or still do, is not only do you get to taste the wine before, but you can say, I'm going to buy this wine.
Yes.
So I'm going to get first in line.
Yes.
I think this Tim's Cab is going to be a huge hit.
It's delicious now.
It's so good. So you could take a pre-order essentially.
Yes.
And then like a year and a half, 2 years later, you got the wine.
Right. So that's futures. They're calling that you're buying futures. And when that really first started, wineries wanted to do that because they needed the investment. They needed wineries to buy the futures, give them the money now so that could pay for the glass bottles and pay for the labels and, just kind of helped economically for their year.
Right.
Because they didn't have tons of customers and sales throughout the years.
It helped them have a base for future.
Right. Yeah. So, barrel tasting is great. So that's a big March event. And January, we have an event called Winter Wineland, which we started just because January is a slow time.
Yeah.
You needed to bring people here for a reason. Mm-hmm. So that worked. And then we have the Wine and Food Affair, which has become really the premier event for the Wine Road. It's in November. It's the first weekend in November. And we used to print a cookbook. I'm glad I'm gone. I don't have to hear about that anymore.
I love the cookbook.
Everybody loved the cookbook.
But we've even here looked at doing a cookbook.
Yeah.
It's so much work.
It's a lot of work. And if you're doing your own cookbook, it's your problem to get the edits and to do it. But when you're trying to do a cookbook with 60 or 70 wineries
Right.
and having them edit their recipe, just there isn't enough time. When I talk to authors, they talk about, they worked on this cookbook for 3 years. And I think I would have 6 months.
To crank
6
out
months.
every year, you guys had a new cookbook, and you got it with the ticket.
Oh, yeah, you got it with the ticket. It was, and they were amazing cookbooks. I mean, people did love them, but I thought, at some point, that's just going to kill somebody. We just couldn't keep doing that. It was insane.
You had a very high level of output at Wine Road.
Oh, yeah.
Like with staff of like two. Sometimes some contractors.
Yeah. So, it was just a lot.
So that was in November, first week in November. You go to a winery, and there was often food from a local restaurant paired with that wine.
Yeah, and so what we've done once we stopped doing the cookbook, what we've done is we've moved the cookbook to online. So the wineries still have to upload their recipe, but this way they're responsible. They've edited it. They've uploaded it to the form. When you go to wineroad.com, you'll find a link that says recipes. And you can search, I think there's probably 15 years worth of recipes on there. And you can search by, if you want to taste, Beth's Winery, you can search by that. Or you can search by, chicken or entrees or, whatever you want. And all those recipes pop up, and they tell you what to pair it with.
And they're very popular. We have the recipes on our website.
Insanely.
People love recipes.
People love recipes.
It's I don't know how you are at home or if you like to cook or not. We cook a lot at my house, but my wife does this thing where she forgets where she got the recipe. So she's like, I'm like, oh, this is a good one. Where's it from? She's like, maybe Pinterest or Facebook or a website.
I know. So as much as I like, modern technology, because I like recipes like that, and it's funny because we do always cook. Yeah. It's funny, the people I talk to never really cook at home. I think, wow, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But the things I love, I print them out and I put them in a file folder.
Yeah, we have them above.
It's a huge big file folder, but
above
still.
The fridge in the cabinet there, and there's some good ones in there.
Well, yeah, but if you don't print them, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm never going to find that again. It's gone.
And my son now he moved out and he's and living in his first apartment with college kids.
Nice.
And he's like, Dad, how do I make remember that recipe?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. He goes, could you print that out for me?
It's
so nice to have that.
I love that
kind of thing. Beth, we forgot one simple thing. The Wine Road, even though you're here in Sonoma Valley today, is actually not entirely in Sonoma Valley.
No.
It is what I would call extreme northern Sonoma Valley.
Yes.
You're in your different valley, aren't you?
Yes. So
Where are you guys?
Wine Road actually represents, because it started as the Russian River Wine Road, the wineries along the river. There were no AVAs 50 years ago when the Wine Road started.
An AVA is like a wine region.
Yeah, wine region.
Right, okay.
And so it has evolved to all these different wine regions now. I don't know, there's 19 or 20 in Sonoma County. So along the river where the Wine Road is, we represent Alexander Valley, Dry Creek, and Russian River.
Okay.
So those are the three biggest next to Sonoma Valley.
Right. So there are I always say there's 4 main valleys in Sonoma County.
Sonoma County. Mm-hmm.
If you are from California and you know what a tri-tip looks like, Sonoma County is shaped like a tri-tip. If you're not from Northern California, it's shaped like a piece of silly putty you smashed.
Yeah, something like that.
The problem with Sonoma County, and when I was at Sonoma County Tourism, it's not a good, it's a diagonal shape.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put into one map.
Right.
But you are in the northern part, you're the 3 main valleys, Dry Creek, Alexander, Russian River Valley. Mm-hmm. Sonoma Valley is another separate valley. Separating it is an area it's roughly called the Santa Rosa Plain.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of little tiny valleys.
There's Fountain Grove, there's Bennett Valley, there's lots of little spots.
Smaller valley. And you took Bennett Valley on the way here.
Oh my God, I took Bennett Valley here because I don't know, I wasn't thinking. First of all, I left later than I should have left because I drove from Cloverdale. And then I was just listening to the directions on my Google map, and I thought, oh my God, it's putting me on Bennett Valley Road.
Which is pretty.
Which is the whole time I was saying, this is such a beautiful drive. I wish I could slow down.
I've taken Bennett Valley a few times, and don't take it at harvest.
Oh, no, I can't even imagine. Even today, there are lots of tree trimmers. I'm like, come on.
I know. And you're like, it's so beautiful. And as long as you're not in a hurry, it's a gorgeous way to do it. Coursey Graves is up there.
Matanzas
Creek with all the lavender. And then if you go up, you can go up to Sonoma Mountain. If you go up and you go up over these hills, and there's beautiful redwoods and a Zen center. But you took the scenic route.
That's beautiful. And then it drops you right into Glen Ellen.
Isn't that cool?
And you're like, oh my God, I just want to stop. But I'm 10 minutes late to get to Tim.
Hey, you brought champagne.
That's what I thought. I thought when I get here, I'm showing up with some goods. So
now, Beth, in addition to the Wine Road, which again is just in extreme northern Sonoma Valley, it's about an hour away from where we are now. Or less than that, about 45 minutes.
An hour, yeah, because you get to Russian River.
Yeah, you can get right over there, and it's a very large area. But you don't just have wineroad.com, and you don't just have events. You, the way you're sitting so comfortably next to that microphone. It's so calm and able to talk.
Yeah. The champagne helps.
No, and people don't know this, but you're an award-winning podcaster.
I know. I always love saying that.
Major awards. So tell me about your podcast.
So I have a friend, a woman who's become a friend. She was a journalist who had been on some of our press events, Marcy Gordon, and she's a writer who lives in Sebastopol. And honestly, all the credit goes to her. She showed up in my office one day with our printed map in her hand.
Okay.
And she goes, you know what you need? This map, you need to bring the map to life. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, how do you, a podcast? You need a podcast. I'm like, okay, what is a podcast?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I mean, I really had zero idea.
Right.
And so she explained it, and I'm like, okay, well, I had some marketing money. I thought I can move it from one place to another place, and we can try to wing it and make this podcast. So I said, if you can make it happen, I'm in.
Really? Okay.
And so we started recording in our warehouse. She bought the software she needed to just record on her laptop, and she edited. And, little by little, we figured out how you post that to a platform and how you get it shared on Apple and how you do all that. So we plugged along, and we did them at the warehouse for about a year. They were sketchy.
Well, the only way to do it is to do it. Right?
That's what that's how I've done everything. 26 years, I just say I can do that. I just figured it out.
Well, I got to look up how many. Do you know how many episodes you have now? Because you have like
250 or something.
250,
yeah. So we did them for a year, and then we went to this conference called the Podcast Movement.
Okay.
And when we went there, we just learned some basic things, like make sure your shows are kind of the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. Make sure you for sure drop them as often as you want. You have a schedule.
Right.
Just all these little things that made a difference. And our listenership really went up. The shows we started recording in a studio. They sounded better.
Right.
I think the year after that, we actually were speakers at the Podcast Movement because we talked about from beginning to award winning.
Okay.
And we tried to just do it all right. And our show is not wine centric as much as visitor centric. Mm-hmm. And we try to just tell the stories of the people who are making the wine. Right. And that's what you want to know.
Well, what I like about it, and again, I'm not going to impugn all the good wine podcasts out there, but you and I both know that in the wine business, there's a person called the Cork Dork. And that is somebody that's way into talking like clone variety.
Wine, yes, and the pH and the soil.
And there's a place for that.
Absolutely, people love that.
There's a place for that. But for the general audience or somebody who's casually visiting, it's more about the stories of how those grapes got into the glass.
Right.
And like you had Brett Munsell on, I think last week, a few weeks ago.
I love him so much.
Good family story.
Yes.
And the ability to talk about, a lot of the farmers, especially up there and down here too, they weren't always grape farmers.
No.
They're prunes, they're apples, hops, and just that heritage and that family.
Right.
So telling those kind of stories, I think takes if you're a new visitor, you're not intimidated.
I also think that people think, you own a winery. Like that's all just the lifestyles of the rich and famous. And the wineries, and same here, the wineries that you talked in, they're small farmers, and they're trying to figure out how to sell their wine and how to get you in the door. And so I think that our listeners really love getting to know the people and their story and how they came to start that winery. Yeah. And I think they realize, a lot of these winemakers and wineries, they sacrificed a lot for their dream.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's working for them, sometimes it's not. And that makes you just love them that much more. And that makes you want to go see them.
You want to root for them.
Yeah, you definitely want to root for them. And it's like you heard them on the podcast and you kind of know something about them. So then you do show up at their tasting room.
And they literally have the dirt underneath their nails.
Yes.
And on their
I mean,
boots
it's the real
out
deal.
there doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a very Sonoma County thing is that they're, the person pouring the wine, especially in the off season when they're not making wine, probably made it or is very closely involved with it.
Yes. So that's just, I love doing the show because I felt like so many of these wineries are people that I've been working with for years, but I didn't really know the story.
Right.
And then you get them on and you're talking about, how they started and what really first turned them on the wine. And every show I would leave and think, oh my God, that was so good.
Marcy, that's award winning.
That was my best.
Award winning. And okay, so you've been doing the podcast. Does Marcy help you with the questions? Do you do a lot of prep?
We wing it.
What?
I mean, we wing everything.
How can you do a podcast just winging it?
We wing every show, honest to God.
Yeah.
We definitely wing every show.
Have you had people come in that are really super over prepared?
A couple people because they, Yeah, a couple of people, but most people, I tell them ahead of time. I have my little cut and paste instructions and I say, well, this is what we're going to want to know. We want to know how you started, or what first really brought you into wine, and all that jazz, and that it's casual. It's a casual, fun conversation.
Just a chat. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
When people come in here with lots of Post-it notes and papers, I'm like, I'm scared now.
Well, then you don't know for sure what to ask.
I don't know what to do.
So our show, this is how fun our show is. Probably 3 or 4 times I've been out at a winery during an event or just running errands, and someone has heard me laughing and said, "Oh, are you the woman from the wine?" And I think, "Oh my God, my laugh is so awful."
It is distinctive. No, it's distinctive. And you're a person that has.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
And you like to laugh. Well, let me jump into that question, Beth. Were you always in the wine business?
Oh no.
No. Like, how'd you end up here?
Well, I grew up in Northern California, in Eureka. Okay. So like that is northern. This is not northern.
So, you're one
that
of those.
Is northern.
You're one of those people that like actual Bigfoot.
Yeah, like this isn't northern. Whatever.
So you're from Eureka.
I'm from Eureka.
And land of fog and redwoods.
But yeah, it's so beautiful. I mean, I go up there at least once a month, and it's still, lots of times I still take the Avenue of the Giants.
That's a great way to go.
And like I do this once a month, but I still think beautiful. I'll take the Avenue of the Giants. It adds
so
about
nice.
10 minutes, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
So my husband got a job teaching in Healdsburg when he got out of college. And so we moved to Healdsburg. I had been a buyer in a department store. So really my background was in
retail
and as a buyer.
Up there.
In Eureka, yeah.
You're just buying a bunch of flannel and axes, or what are you doing?
You'd be surprised.
This is irrigation equipment. What for? I'm not going to tell you.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's the boom now.
So you were up there. He got a job down here as a teacher.
Yeah. So
and he taught at Healdsburg High?
He was hired at the junior high. He did that for probably 5 years, and then probably 10 or 15 at the high school, then back to the junior high.
Hold on. There's an obligatory thing I do on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Go Hounds.
Oh, yeah.
Although, first of all, go Dragons for Sonoma Valley.
Well, yeah.
But the Healdsburg Greyhounds.
Yeah.
They're famous up there, at least in Healdsburg. So he was there for a while.
He was coach of the year. He coached the varsity boys basketball for long, probably, I don't know, 20 years or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and then so you're like, I'm sick of watching all this basketball. I'm going to find a
something.
Job
so,
in the wine business.
And I just thought this is where we live now.
Right.
So what do I might as well get a job in a winery, something.
Okay.
And so as it turned out, and it was actually, I think, very fortunate for me, Kendall-Jackson had opened their first tasting room in Healdsburg. And
really,
it was right off the square. I mean, it's so much changed there now.
I know. It's the one where it's in what was the Hotel Healdsburg complex. That one, where Stone Street was for a little bit, and then
yes, where Stone Street was. Yeah, it's where Stone Street was. So that initially opened as the Kendall-Jackson Wine Country Store.
I visited that when I first came to Wine Country.
Yeah, so I went in there in May because they hired me. This is what I said. They had just opened that tasting room.
Right.
And so I went in and applied for a job, and he says, "What do you know about wine?" And I said, "I know there's red and there's white, and I think there's some pink."
And it comes
That's what I know about wine. But I said, "But I could make this store look better in about an hour."
Because you had the retailing experience.
Yes. Yeah. And I think they probably weren't thrilled with my answer, but by the time I got home from that interview, because that was, again, your phone was screwed to the kitchen wall.
Right.
They called and they wanted me to start that weekend. And it was Memorial Weekend.
Oh.
And literally, that is what I knew about wine. There's red and there's wine. I probably never opened a bottle of wine with a
this wine is
ever.
Red.
Oh my God.
So they had you, your first job.
On the floor.
For Kendall-Jackson. They had you talking to human beings.
Yes.
And you had a training.
And I knew nothing.
Like, this is red, this is white.
That was it. I worked with such amazing people. Jeanette Engel, and then this guy named Dan, who was a student at, he went to Washington State, but he was an older student. He was probably, 28. But they were just super fun. And I would just tell customers, I know nothing. I mean, I really am just going to open this bottle of wine for you, and they're going to tell you. And then, you just listen to what they're saying.
But I bet you the customer's like, oh, I'm on this journey with this
honesty is the best way.
Both
I never made it up, ever.
I think that's actually a really smart thing to do if, you're in a wine room.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing to do if, you're a surgical scrub nurse.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah, there you probably shouldn't be there. But yeah, in a wine tasting room, every winery you go has their list of what they're pouring that day. There's probably 5 wines. So, I would just listen to them. They're describing the wine. I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm kind of repeating that. And then if you had a question I didn't understand, I would just say, Jeanette, I'm out of my league here, And we just figured it out. So I just worked weekends for about a year.
Because you had kids.
Yeah, I had 4 at that time.
So
I mean, that's where I ended 4, but it was a lot. Like Aaron was year 1 when I started.
You
at
had a
Kendall-Jackson.
1-year-old, and you're like, I need to work on weekends. I need to talk to.
Yeah, and that's all I did was weekends because Greg could be home.
Right.
And I loved that job. It was just super fun, and it was super fun because of the people I worked with. Yep. I mean, I will never forget them. We would every Saturday night we'd go to the Bear Republic. Was
right there.
Kind of new then, and we'd all have a pitcher of beer and Jamaican jerk burgers. It was so fun every Saturday night. And then after about a year, the manager left, and they wanted me to be the manager. Oh. So that was at that point that was okay.
Okay, because your kids were old enough to.
Aaron was the only needed daycare, and at that time, Kendall-Jackson provided daycare for a select number of people.
That's wonderful.
And I probably should have not gotten in there because it was really all the executives, but somehow I did.
Wonderful. I've heard KJ has treated their people well.
I mean, I loved that job, and eventually they took over what was Chateau de Bon, and now that's the Kendall-Jackson home garden and stuff. And so I had to transition to manage that. And
you managed that place?
Yeah, for about 8 years. Okay. And they're a large enough winery that they had amazing training. Like all of their employees could go through great, blind wine tastings and blending seminars, and we'd get tours of all the vineyard properties. So when you were in the tasting room, you could talk about this vineyard in Knights Valley and this vineyard, at the coast. And they really make sure that the people that are working for them know what they are talking about.
Okay.
And so, I definitely loved it. And at that point, after so many years, I ended up on the board of directors for the Wine Road.
Gotcha.
And that's when we could see, like, the Wine Road's not going to carry on unless we have an employee.
Someone's got it.
And I thought at that point I was exhausted with my job. And I would do this because the Wine Road was going to be kind of part-time,
Beth's like, I need a break from the winery. So now I'm going to go work with 60 random wineries.
I know, but it was part-time. It was because we were so starting out,
Right.
So it was,
But then when did all the events start happening?
The events happened, but they were small. I mean, you'd get 1,000 people
But they were already going on.
They were going on. And they had been going on with no employee. They were going on with just the board handing out supplies. And so
doing everything.
Yeah, so when I stepped in, I could organize that better.
Okay. But from like 2006 to like 2018, there was like
we grew like
winery
crazy.
Events. They got big. I mean, you were sending out your hilarious tongue-in-cheek emails about buses.
Oh yeah, they were crazy.
And like managing the and porta potties. You had the funniest. I mean, the emails were for us for industry, and I would get these. And I'm like, oh crap!
You're like, poor woman. This poor woman.
Like Beth is done.
This poor woman.
This mom is done with your crap.
Oh my God, it was crazy. But that was because I was there, so I could do advertising. Like, we'd never advertised events. It was always word of mouth or whatever. So once you start doing all that and you have, more systems in place and you're doing interviews and you're spreading the word. So the highest point of barrel tasting, we turned it into a 2-weekend event, and we sold 30,000 tickets. And it was such a disaster. I can't even say without you editing me out what that weekend was like. And I got to work on Monday, and I had this journalist who I'd hosted a few times who lives in New Orleans. And I get the call. I can see who it is calling.
Yeah.
And he goes, Beth, I picked this up on the AP. Wow. I didn't think anyone did Drunken Public better than New Orleans. And I'm like, Tim, I think I'm going to lose my job.
You're like, no, but you were, and I remember there were a couple of Press Democrat stories.
Oh, there were lots of them. Peg.
And then people
like me.
Oh, Peg. Peg, if you're listening, we forgive you. That was funny, by the way. I that is one of my favorite articles she ever wrote about. Like, I made some joke about the I don't know, like rapscallions and jalopies tasting wine, because she was all about all the young 23-year-olds.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, but you were ahead of your time, because here's the problem. I'm going to jump into it. Wineries, a lot of them have made themselves not as approachable as they were 25, 26 years ago, so that we've set up these barriers.
Right.
And so now it's like
they're sorry now.
Yeah, and it's like, if you don't, and I don't want to say, use the Joe Camel method, because that's a bad example.
Right.
I'm going to get hooked on cigarettes, but it was the idea of like, when someone's 21 through 25, they are in the curious, inquisitive, acquiring mind. So you got to meet them there.
And we were all 25 at that one point.
Exactly.
I would say to my board, hello, did you ever party? I mean, what is wrong with you?
So figure out how to do it in a way that's positive.
Yeah.
safe.
Right.
But also to say, hey, Cass makes great wines. I'm going to tell you a little about it. And when you're ready, you can start buying wine at this level.
Yes.
But for now, we've got this wine over here for you.
Right.
And we've, I don't. It's not a secret that some wineries or the industry, I should say, has kind of painted itself into a corner that we're trying to get out of right now.
Yes, definitely.
And they're catching on. I mean, one of the first things you guys did, and it was actually KJ. They started off with on that billboard, it was something like neighborhood hour.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
They started like free tasting on Thursdays or whatever, and then it would be Fridays, and then it was weekends. I started texting my friends who work there, and I'm like, I want other wineries to see this because I know what you guys are doing.
Right.
And then I saw Corbell doing it. We rolled out the $15 tastings during Sonoma Sips.
I saw that.
You guys have some great deals going on right now.
Yes.
Matter of fact.
We started that right. We actually started before their billboard, but we had a sip into the weekend.
Right. Okay, right.
And so it's free tasting every Thursday and Friday, and I think there's probably 40 wineries on there.
And so to the wineries, I'm saying, okay, you don't have to pour your most expensive wine for that, but you're bringing a body in the door.
Yeah.
So what's your customer acquisition cost? Right. This is a great way to talk to someone who doesn't know anything about wine.
And you just make it small. There's just 3 wines, or you don't have to pour a lineup of 8 wines, and there's no seated tasting. I mean, it can be casual and
we kind of had experience inflation, didn't we? From like 2006 on, we had experience inflation.
Yeah.
They're like, this is a custom, bespoke,
I know.
amazing tasting.
And everything's curated. I think, oh my God, don't say that word to me one more time.
I'm going to tell you, Healdsburg is, if there's one more mercantile that opens up in Healdsburg,
I know.
You're going to be on the Oregon Trail.
I mean,
know,
there's so exactly.
Many. Every time I see a mercantile up there, I'm like, is there a wagon about to roll in here? I think we have one mercantile in this town. What do you see in your 26 years or more experience in wine? What do you see? Where's the wine industry going? In your thoughts?
I mean, I do think that they. I don't know. It's confusing times right now because a lot of them, what they're trying to do is get people into the winery by doing other things, by doing their comedy nights and doing their, they bring an author in and, you're doing their reading and sharing some wine and just all kinds of other things. And part of me thinks, well, that gets people in the door. But part of me thinks you're a winery. Mm-hmm. Wine should be your reason to get people in the door.
There. Yeah.
And offer more levels of tasting. I've noticed, I've always directed a lot of people to Dry Creek Vineyard, which is an older winery, but their website is so well done in that they have, walk-ins welcome, and you can taste at the bar. Yep. So this is what it's going to cost you. Just walk in, taste 4 or 5 wines at the bar. Or you can do a seated tasting, and it's going to cost this. Or you can have lunch out on the lawn. Yep. So, you can spend whatever you want and have the experience you want, but there is the walk-in at the bar. And, it has to be affordable for everyone. And everyone doesn't want an experience. Yeah. I don't want 6 experiences in a day. I want maybe 1 seated tasting, and then I want to just be able to walk in and come and go and,
have some of that whimsy.
I don't know. I think the wineries are really just trying to figure it out. And, the wine road, a lot of people dropped out of the wine road because, they're trying to figure out what they can afford to pay and not pay. It's a membership association. They have to pay.
Just like us. Yeah.
So they can be on the map. They can be on the website. They get benefits, so they can do that or not. And a lot that dropped out are coming back. Yeah. And they're coming back because they see, we do promote the sip into the weekend for the comp tasting. We have a bigger voice, and people are going to come when you're a group of 40 wineries that they can choose from, instead of just you trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, when you work collaboratively, you get the message out.
Right.
And you and I work for organizations where I say, look, we're megaphones.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We're literally talking into a microphone.
We can send your message.
Right, and so you can do pretty good on your own if you're very good and you want to devote a lot of attention to it.
And you have the money.
Or you can concentrate on making your wine.
Right.
And then make part of your marketing cost being a part of a group like us.
Right.
And we'll do it. Quick side note on Dry Creek Vineyard. When I want to go wine tasting and I don't want to end up talking work, so I don't want to come back down here.
Yeah, right.
I text Ian or Rob is up there.
Yeah.
And I go up there.
Yeah.
And that's why I start. We of course go to Dry Creek General Store and get a very large sandwich.
That you've waited a long time for. I just get whatever's in the. I just get what's in the case. I'm like, because I've been down this road.
Get the cookie and get.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh.
Very popular. But that is a great winery to start with, and for people to understand how wine is made, because you can go there and look at their vineyard.
Yeah.
And the garden's fantastic. The gardener. Oh wait, quick segue. their gardener was nominated for Stars of the Industry Award.
Nice.
I don't think he won, unfortunately, but it was really good. And we just had this last two nights ago.
Yeah, a couple nights ago. So every time he's out working a lot, because when I would be dropping off things or picking up things, it's usually early in the morning. I always tell him every time, this place looks amazing. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's like somebody's amazing backyard. It's comfortable.
Well, by the way, it is it was Tarcisio Garcia. He's the gardener up there at Dry Creek Vineyard. I do have to remind my wife when we go to vineyards, and she looks at the gardens and the patios.
Yeah.
And she expects...
She says, do that at home, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, this guy's a professional.
Yeah. I see lots of fountains, and my husband's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, it doesn't seem that hard. I'll take a picture.
You don't even think about it. It's all graded.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it.
And the colors all match.
Yeah, it's perfect. And the sound is just perfect.
Yeah, so to your husband, I say, yeah, my backyard's just like that. But no, I think getting back to it, the working together and promoting these wineries is the way to do it.
Yeah, they have to be collaborative. And that definitely changed. When I first started at the Wine Road, I mean, I came from a singular worrying about Kendall-Jackson and what we were doing to the Wine Road. And what I really loved about it is there was so much collaboration. And prior to that, when I'd worked in a department store, every other store is your competitor. I mean, someone wants a white blouse, they're going to buy one.
Right.
And so, it's competitive. But in the wine business, I thought, oh my God, this is such a different frame of mind, because no one's coming here, across the country to go to one winery.
Right.
They're going to go to 5 or 10 or how many days they're here. So you can collaborate, and like you can come visit my winery, and I can say, oh, if you loved my Zin, you should definitely go to Tim's. You're going to love his. And there was so much of that. Yeah. And then somewhere along the line, that really changed, where wineries' attitude changed, and they didn't want to be in groups, and they didn't want to be associated. I don't want my winery associated with that winery. It's just odd. And I definitely see that's changing back.
I think it ebbs and flows with the market and where they're at. And to your point, I can buy one shirt and I wear it multiple times.
Well, yeah.
But you drink one bottle of wine once, so you can go to other wineries and buy more wine.
Right.
And that's hopefully what people are doing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I'm doing my part, Tim.
Keep doing which is good. Give me a little more splash here. Okay, hold on here. I'll put this right here. While you do that, I'm going to talk real quick. This is an internal commercial. We don't actually have ads, but here's an internal commercial reminding people Transcendence Theater is starting this week. Ain't Too Proud by The Temptations starts this week. And then Radio Recall in July 10th through 12th. And then Mamma Mia, August 13th through the 30th on the Field of Dreams. Beth, have you been to Transcendence?
I was going to make sure that I mentioned them today when I was on the show.
Oh, really?
And you reminded me. They're my favorite. I got to go online and get tickets.
Go get tickets. And on your way back, they moved the stage a little bit. It's amazing.
I'm sure it is.
Open tonight. And I'm glad you've been, because it is really cool.
Spectacular. We had... he was the musical director at one time. I think his name's Michael something. I don't know if he's still there. We had him on the podcast.
Okay.
And we recorded in a small enclosed studio.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did he play piano?
No, but he sang. We were kind of wrapping it up, and he took some Broadway show tune. I can't remember what it was, but he changed the words to talk about me and Marcy. And I'm just belting it out in the studio. I'm like...
I mean, they're amazing. I've had them perform in here. We have them perform at our November thing.
They are amazing.
And so I do get... I don't want to say it's cynical, but I'm always like, oh yeah, jazz hands, Broadway.
Oh my God, that's my favorite.
I know, but then I hear them perform.
Yes.
And I'm blown away, and I'm like, wow, you guys are super talented.
I'm just a big fan of musicals for New York,
really?
Los Angeles,
wherever. Are you one of those people? Do you travel to New York and go see your Broadway shows?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Good for you.
And I wouldn't go to New York and not see a musical.
Well, yeah.
I mean, as much as I worked, and my daughter lives in New Jersey. I mean, I go to musicals all the time, and I love musicals. I have friends who think I'm crazy, but so to me, Transcendence is mind blowing.
And so, Mamma Mia, the ABBA musical, and then excuse me, Ain't Too Proud.
Ain't Too Proud is going to be great. I've seen that in San Francisco.
You did see it?
Yes, but I haven't seen it with Transcendence.
Okay,
so that'll be amazing.
It's gonna be a good one. Beth, I know you often. You follow the moon and the sun because you're kind of a hippie person from up north.
Kind of.
You kind of smell like patchouli. I can
exactly.
Smell it. The MacArthur Place is doing a summer solstice soiree. Summer solstice is coming up in a week. Nice. So doing a big party there because the sun will be up.
Well, that's such a beautiful spot. Also, holy cow!
Really
yes,
nice. That's a good spot. And St. Francis is doing something too.
Day.
Rough day. On Sundays on the Plaza, we have Music in Place is doing all their concerts. Coming up, Tommy Thompson is doing Western Swing. You don't know this, but Tommy's in in the studio next door.
Oh, my God.
He is a very accomplished musician. And Sonoma, for some reason, has a lot of musicians that either live here or retire here. Yeah. And so he'll be performing. But every Sunday, there's different music and in the amphitheater in the plaza. Just like...
And what do they do? Like noon to 2 or something?
Good question. And should be wearing my glasses.
Putting you on the
2 to 5.
2 to 5.
And,
that's great.
So Healdsburg, Healdsburg, lovely city. You lived there for a long time. Is the other major town in Sonoma County with a beautiful central plaza.
Yeah.
Difference is Sonoma's plaza was a Spanish-style plaza. There's a mission on one end, and we call it a plaza. And then Healdsburg, they also call it a plaza if you're local. But it was set up as a square because it was Heald. Cyrus?
Yeah.
Yeah. He set it up as a...
And I always call it a square, and people would correct me. I'm like, okay, sorry.
I know, but I'm like, you call it a plaza if your town has Spanish names.
Yeah.
And then if your town has English names, it becomes a square. I think so. Because it's more of a New England, and Cyrus was from Ohio, I believe. He's buried by St. John's, I think.
I don't know, Cyrus Alexander, right?
Cyrus Alexander, is that it? And then something...
There was something Heald.
Heald.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, you guys have a great little bandstand in the middle.
In Cloverdale?
In the plaza.
Oh, in Healdsburg? Yeah, it's great. So I lived in Healdsburg about 30 years, and somewhere during that time was rebuilt, and it's really nice. What's there?
Hold on. Cloverdale.
We have Friday night lights. Friday night is awesome.
You guys really go all out.
Yes,
I mean, somehow the town quadruples in size, so there's at least 300 people.
It's crazy packed.
Yeah, and it's big up there.
Yeah, it's funny because I was driving through town last week around noon, and I had to stop in the middle of the street because people were walking across the main street with their chairs. But they're carrying their chairs. I'm thinking, what are they doing? I thought, oh my God, they're setting up for tonight. I mean, music starts at 7. It's noon.
Cloverdale's big, and you got that Plank Coffee downtown's a good spot. Is there still an ice cream shop there?
No, they should have that ice cream place. I could have helped them. They marketed that really wrong.
Maybe that's your retirement.
Maybe I could help them. No, there's a nursery in Cloverdale that I want to go down and offer my services for free.
She was the one on the south end of town?
The one that's way at the south end.
They used to work at Pickett's or whatever. And
that's not at the south end. That's the beautiful nursery.
Oh,
that's Cloverdale Home and Garden now.
Okay.
That is an amazing nursery.
It's great. Yeah.
Yes.
When they first opened, I went up there a couple times.
They've just done such a beautiful job. They just have such great taste with everything they do.
Are you a big gardener?
Yes.
Really? What are you growing?
Flowers.
Are you like a tomato person? Do you grow like the $7
No,
tomato?
I just don't, because I live at the north end of Cloverdale, and my backyard is like a hillside that goes on forever.
Right.
So I have so many deer and things. So I don't grow any vegetables because it's just heartbreaking. But my garden is amazing. I had some gardeners there yesterday to help me do some weed whacking way up on the hill, and even the gardener said, "Wow, this place is amazing."
Oh,
I'm like, "Thank you, thank you very much."
I've put in all the hard work.
I've killed myself every day.
I've put in all the hard work. Okay, final thing before we get to you're going to answer visitor questions.
Oh my gosh, do I just make up answers?
Yeah, no, that's how it
I'm
works.
going to have more champagne.
I'm embarrassed to say, but I'm not so embarrassed or shameless. I'm not going to mention it. There's an article in the paper today in the Sonoma Index Tribune about this podcast.
Oh my gosh!
And it's by this I know. Have you heard of this guy, Matt Villano?
Oh yeah, is that who wrote it? Oh my God!
Matt wrote a story about it, and it says, "Tune into the Sonoma Spiel and learn more about
I don't think I can even say Sonoma Spiel.
Yeah, you can.
You know how it's like those tongue twisters?
Yeah,
like, how do you say that? So
I don't know.
They're 2 words I cannot put together.
So anyway, there's a photo of me standing right here where I'm doing right now.
That is awesome.
And it's a good little article, and I don't know. I got to send it to my mom and dad.
What is that?
Leave it, Brad.
I need to get a copy of that.
Okay, you know what's funny? We still have the Sonoma Index Tribune here, and that's also owned by the Press Democrat. Yeah. So in Sonoma County, just like the Cloverdale Reveille, Healdsburg Tribune.
Yeah.
Actually, Healdsburg Tribune is owned by somebody else.
Oh, I don't know who owns it.
It's they're all eating each other.
Well, yeah, I get the little Cloverdale one.
The Reveille.
Cloverdale one is you can just make a donation. I mean, there's no subscribers, so but everybody gets it, and so
you could write for them.
This is the thing of retirement is I want to do nothing for no one. Even when I was driving here today, I thought, what the heck was I thinking, man?
I'm so happy you're here.
Especially because I was late. I'm thinking, I do not need this stress.
I offered you lunch.
I know.
I offered you lunch, and you said I'm starting to become a boxer. I'm going to be doing long distance swimming at Lake Sonoma. Yeah. Maybe you're going to become a cyclist.
No. Actually, I said no. My doctor said.
Maybe you're going to do something like that. All right, Beth. Here's how this works.
Oh God.
You are going to help us answer some questions. Here's the intro.
Okay.
Beth. Every week, people walk into one of our 2 visitor centers, or they call us or they text us. They send us faxes. They send us telegrams. They affix questions to pigeons, and they send
they
them
just
our
nail
way.
them, throw them to you in the window. Okay, nice.
They go on our social media. They ask us questions. I hereby deputize you to be one of our volunteers because you're going to help me in this segment. We have cleverly titled, We Get Questions.
Yeah, a lot of thought went into that. Okay, good.
Sonoma Spiel and We Get Questions. We're really good.
They're good.
Okay, first question we got. I'm visiting for a few days and looking for a good place for an easy 3-mile run. Any ideas? And you can ask me for help.
Any ideas?
Yeah, you wanna
for
go-
running?
Who goes running, first of all? Like, that's dumb. I mean, and hey, the person that asked this, David, that's a great question. But there's bicycles. You don't need to run. You can ride a bike.
It seems like over by on the way into town, there's some huge big park.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of what it's called because I don't live here.
That's a great one. There's Larson Park is a good one. And there's also, oh my God, I'm blanking on it.
Oh, that's awesome! Yay!
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
right there on the way into town.
It's right on the way into town.
Yep, that one does have paths and trails.
That's
through
what I
it.
would think. That would be a good spot.
I honestly cannot believe I'm blanking on the name of that park. And now that's embarrassing, and people are going to email me and
Or
say, you
people
don't know
could
what I'm
really
talking about. It's a regional park.
backtrack to like by St. Francis and go up that.
Absolutely.
Go
There's some
that
parks
way.
up there.
Yeah.
There's also Pythian Road is a good road to go up. If
Yeah,
if
that's
want
where I'm thinking, Pythian
Yeah, if you
Road.
want a more of a aggressive.
That's a trail. More of
Trail.
a, yeah.
Maxwell Farms, regional parks. Maxwell. Whew, that was bad. Another one is there's a thing called the Sonoma Bike Path that's on the northern part of town, and it connects from Sebastiani Winery to the Sonoma Springs. And you can do an easy 3-mile out and back on that.
Yeah.
Super easy, very flat.
And runners are okay. You don't have
Runners
to
are
be a
fine.
bike. Yeah.
You don't have to be a bike. No.
Yeah.
We do have a woman here who does the Napa to Sonoma half marathon, and she wants me to run it.
It's a half marathon.
That's 13 miles.
You could do that.
Why would you run anywhere for 13 miles? We have buses, rollerblades, wheels. But yeah, okay, so that's a good idea. And I like all your ideas. And I bet you up in Cloverdale, if this person was that far, you have a river trail, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time. The river trail is great because it's 1.5 miles. So if you go down and back, that's a nice little walk, 2.5 miles. It's 1.25 miles, so it's 2.5 miles. And then I don't remember the name of this, but we just opened a new trail in Cloverdale this week.
I just saw that, yeah.
And it looks amazing. So my plan was to go up there this weekend and check it out because it looks like it is actually paved, like a big wide
I
trail.
think it's very mobility. And
Yeah, so I think you'd bike it or a wheelchair or
Right.
whatever. I mean, it looked amazing.
That's a good
spot. And there's lots of trails off of it, so it's
Oh, that'll be good. This is a brand new open space.
it's
that
like
I think,
20 miles or
but I
something.
think
There
it's a
trails.
city park.
It's a city park. Yeah, Cloverdale has it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna go check that out.
Okay. Do you ever go up to Lake Sonoma? Because that's like, you're kind of the gateway to it.
Yeah, I haven't been up there for a long time.
Okay.
I do the river walk probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh, okay.
And if I do the river walk from my house,
Right.
like walk from my house to the river walk and down and back, it's 6 miles.
Well, that's a good
So
extra.
I try to do that maybe twice a week.
Early in the morning or late at night. But early
I
in the
know.
afternoon.
I know. Sometimes I do it kind of late in the afternoon. I think, oh my God, this is gonna
Cloverdale
kill me.
is ungodly hot.
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
It's about 10 degrees hotter than Healdsburg,
Mm-hmm.
always. And like I lived in Healdsburg for 30 years. I always knew that. I always thought, who would live there? And now here I am.
Well, that's what I was asking because Cloverdale always has the best tomatoes. And so do
Yeah.
Rock Farms, which is further up in that
Right.
direction. And even Dry Creek Peach. When you go up that direction,
Yes.
you have good enough heat
Yeah.
for some really good.
So I do grow little cherry tomatoes. But that's the only thing I can really have. I just don't want everything eaten.
Right.
It's frustrating.
That's the way it is. All right, you answered that question correctly. Good job. You're amazing.
I'm a master.
Here's another good question we got. Where's a good place to picnic with vineyard views?
Here in Sonoma Valley
You can answer anytime you want, whatever you want.
with vineyard views, picnic. I don't know.
Give me one up in Dry Creek or Alexander Valley.
Well,
Russian River.
if you're going to go, I like to, it's not so much picnic, but you can go up to Trattori Farms, which is on Dry Creek Road, or cast, but
olive
Trattori
oil,
has
right?
Trattori has they have and they have a pizza oven. So
right.
and they do lunch 7 days a week.
Okay.
So you can get great little sandwiches, and the patio is huge, and you drive up this long, winding driveway, so the view on their patio just looks out over Dry Creek Valley. It's spectacular.
That's about half. It's more than halfway up. Is it almost to Sabraja, or am I crazy?
It's before Sabraja, so
I've gone past it before someplace because someplace up there offers like wine frosé or something like that. And
that's Chateau Diana.
Diana. And every time my wife goes, "We need to get some wine frosé." I'm like, why?
No, you don't. I'm like, save yourself. Save yourself.
Thank you. That was my point.
Save
I'm
yourself.
like, get some frosé or get some wine.
But go to Trattori sometime.
Okay,
I go
so
there
Trattori,
a lot.
Good place.
It's
Trattori
a
Farms.
great plum. Yeah.
All right, so that's a good one. And if you're not up there, here in Sonoma Valley, Bartholomew Park has really good vineyard views, and it's also a park.
Yeah.
Klein Family Cellars, they do have a picnic.
Klein would be great.
Good
I've
spot.
been to Klein for
Yeah, I've been to
picnics,
Klein.
so
Oh, it's a good spot.
why didn't I think of that?
Well, because have
I'm drinking
500 different wineries. Abbott's Passage is great. That is here in Sonoma Valley. My quick tip, though, is call ahead because some of them want you to buy a bottle or reserve it. It is polite to buy some wine.
Yeah.
And just go there. If you just want a picnic and not buy wine, then go to a regional park or a city park.
For sure.
Or something like that.
There's definitely some beautiful spots. But the vineyard views, that just makes sense. They are in the business of selling wine. So buy a bottle and then pick it and enjoy it.
Just have a good time. Last week, someone asked us, can you just buy a bottle of wine at a winery? And I'm like, yes.
What's the question? Let's back that
some
up.
people thought you have to like join the club or
yeah.
do a full tasting. And I'm like, 99.9% of the wineries, if you walk in there with your credit card and say, I want to buy that
They've got
bottle,
something for you.
like, they'll probably throw in some glasses and they're like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, another question we got. We're visiting with a group of 9 people and we're looking for a reputable company to drive us around to wineries. Is that possible?
Well, I mean, for me, I recommend a lot Pure Luxury Transportation just because they have every size, shaped vehicle imaginable.
Absolutely.
So they could definitely accommodate. They could pick you up in San Francisco and then drive you around. They could do absolutely whatever you want. But I'm sure there's a lot of other.
The correct answer is yes, it's possible, and Pure Luxury is definitely one of them. California wine tours.
Yeah, California wine tours.
There's like
great.
9 people's a lot, but there's like the sidecar tours. There's bike tours. There's the wine trolley, which we have here. You guys do. Healdsburg, you guys had a biking company for a while, a little cycling tour in the plaza or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a long bike thing with several people on each side. I don't remember what it's called. I hated them, so I didn't pay attention. I just found it was annoying.
Yeah, because they were actually on city streets.
Yeah, they were on city streets.
Which they shouldn't
and
do.
you're like, oh my gosh.
Because you could actually, here it is. You can do that in St. Francis Winery, but it's in the vineyard.
But it's in the vineyard. And
it's
like
private.
other wineries have done that. And I think that's cool. But like driving down Healdsburg Avenue, like, I got to get to Safeway, man.
Right. You're like, what are you doing? So the quick answer to that person, it is possible. There are several companies. You go on the website, sonomavalley.com. You can probably go on wineroad.com and get information.
Yeah, 9 people is nothing. I mean, they'll do 50, so.
And I would say, though, I like the question about a reputable company because you should double make sure they're insured and blah, blah, blah. Plus, the professional companies, the drivers know, oh, there's an event up at Wine Road this week, so go this direction.
Go a different way.
Right,
Yeah.
so they know how to do that. So, yeah. Okay, this is my favorite. I've planned my itinerary and put it in a spreadsheet and shared it with my friends. But now they're saying that visiting 4 wineries each day might be too much. What do you think?
I think 4 is the max. I mean, to me, 4 is the max because you're going to do maybe 1 and then do 1 for lunch. I mean, if you're doing a winery for lunch.
Right.
Like if you were the area I know, Trattori, you'd go to someplace in the morning, go to Trattori, have wine tasting and lunch, and then you could hit 2 more.
Right.
That's plenty.
You can do 4. 4 is, I say, hey, if you're here to taste wine.
Yeah.
And you're here to examine wine and explore wine, do 4. But what I would say is, like, if you're making 4 reservations, they had reservations.
Yes,
4,
a lot.
which is good. But I'm like, you might want some flex.
Yeah.
So maybe dial it back 1 or 2,
Right.
and then say we'll go to hit some tasting rooms where you can walk around.
Yeah, and then also you just you're driving from one to another, and you see somebody. It's like you want to stop, and you can't say, "Well, we can't because we have to be here for 2."
3:15, we're right there.
So it's in a vacation.
Some people are super planners.
Yeah.
Do you travel that way?
No, that's I mean, it's such a terrible question because my husband wants to know exactly where we're going to be exactly every minute. And I'm thinking, you need to go with someone else.
Really? He's that way?
Yes. And I just want to have no plans whatsoever.
Thank you.
There's so many amazing things.
You just walk down and you talk to the front desk,
Yes.
or you just go. Like I said, you hop on a bike. You're like, oh, that's cool. Or you just drive
I
around and see something. It's fine.
Like, I don't want to ask at the front desk. My husband does that. I'm thinking,
really?
like, does Joe, idiot, working behind here know what I want to do? Like, why can't I just wander?
Hold on. In Sonoma Valley, they definitely do. No.
Yeah.
But you're a good point. So you
Like when we're in Chicago or someplace, like they,
Right.
I don't
Do
want
they
the
know?
typical things. Let's
At
just
the-
wander.
You mean you don't go to the Hampton Inn and Suites in Chicago, and they're like,
Give me some good advice on what I really like. Like, good Lord.
you're explorer.
My poor husband, like, even when I get tickets to go someplace, he'll say, who are you taking?
You're like, I don't know.
Not you.
Wait, is he retired too?
Yes, but he substitute teaches now.
Oh, he does. Oh,
Kindergarten.
good for him.
I
Good.
convinced
That's
him.
good.
I convinced he was not going to do that, and I said, "You can't substitute at high school and junior high.
No.
That's not your."
You'll be angry. And
Yeah, you're going to hate that. So I convinced him to do kindergarten.
That's good.
He loves it.
Yeah, he comes home, he's all
He
happy.
checks every day to see if he's got a job because
that's
he wants to
wonderful.
do it 2 or 3 days a week is perfect.
Oh, that is good.
It's like having grandpa in class.
Exactly.
They love him.
He's
He
like,
loves
I'm going
them.
to read a story.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a lucky guy. Final question. Someone came into the visitor center, and they were very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, do you have a guide to wineries?
There is an idea. You guys need to get it together, Tim. Have a guide.
And poor Jan was like, yes. Behold.
Here we are.
All the information. So I'm assuming if we're up in Healdsburg or Cloverdale or Russian River, there's a wine road guide and a
Yes.
map. Just like here in Sonoma Valley. Yes, we quite literally have a
my
guide
gosh,
with
yeah.
all the wineries. Plus, you have printed maps.
Right.
Plus, we have 2-for-1 tasting passes. Plus, we have everything you imagine. So yeah, everywhere you go in usually Sonoma County,
Yes.
if there's a visitor center, they will have a guide.
They
to
will have a
wineries.
guide.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, Sonoma County Tourism this year
Yep.
put out their visitor guide magazine. It's a little different format than it's amazing.
It's a large format. I always call it like the dentist magazine
It's
style.
more magazine looking, but every page doesn't look like an ad.
Right.
And it really encompasses the parks and art and like
They
everything.
ran with an editorial style look.
Yeah.
For and the company that does it, that's their specialty there. So it's a large
thought it was
format,
great.
nice guy.
I've actually
Yeah.
personally out of my own pocket mailed them to friends who or like people who I've become friends with from the Wine Road.
Oh, nice.
Who were visitors on a regular
You said,
basis. And
"Come
I thought
visit.
you are going to love this because it
Beth-
showed other things.
Not only can you do it out of your own pocket, but I'll tell you what: if people go to SonomaValley.com, I will pay the
You will
postage.
do it. You will do it.
For our guide.
You'll mail that.
For our guide. Their guide, I weighed their guide, and I'm like, we're not mailing this one.
It's heavy.
Because that will run out of postage very
Yeah,
quickly.
it's
but
heavy.
we
So
will- we
yeah,
will
and the
mail
Wine
it.
Road maps are free, yeah, or people can get
And you guys
them
have good,
free,
and
yeah.
they go to wineroad.com.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, Beth, you answered all the questions correctly. That's it. You did all the questions. That was easy, wasn't it?
We just make them up.
You just did a good job. You're so good at this. You should probably do this for a living. Beth, that's our time. If people want, I mean, even though you're retired, you don't have to give it. But if people want more information about Wine Road, what is the website?
Wineroad.com.
Wineroad.com. And you're also on social media and all the usual places.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
And the name of the podcast is?
Oh, you're going to give me a hard time. I hate to tell you because it's just called Wine Road Podcast.
I love it. Says what it does what it says. Wait, are you going to continue doing the podcast?
No, I am not. And
Wait, we buried the lead. Wait, you've retired from the podcast too?
Well, yeah. So I met with Katie Ambrosi, who I totally love.
Right.
She has taken over as she was hired as the new executive director. We have met so many hours in the last couple of weeks because she just started like the 5th of June. And so many things couldn't really transition until she was hired on board. So she's going to continue the podcast.
Okay.
I'm going to be her first guest.
Good.
And we're just going to kind of pass the buck and kind of explain what her format's going to be. She wants to do the same thing of just interviewing winemakers and winery owners and also having the, events and what's happening kind of a thing.
Okay.
And but she's going to do it, and I think she'll do an amazing job. She has high energy. She's going to be great.
Good. So she's not going to introduce like, oh, we're going to do a true crime.
Yeah, no. but she feels like right away she wants to jump in and assure our listeners. So we have one more show to post that was our last
Marcy.
show, and then Katie will pick it up 2 weeks later. So
Great.
yeah, I'm
And-
excited
and
for
again,
her.
you should remind her, your first podcast was award-winning. And
Yeah, exactly. No pressure. That's what I've said to her. That's what I've said to her. Well, we did record in a studio, but
And like I said to everyone that's been on here, any idiot can be on a podcast, and I am certainly proof of that. So, all right, well, Beth, it's been great having you. Thank you so much.
it was super fun.
Congratulations on single-handedly building up Wine Road. What?
So how much time do you have?
I can keep
So
recording.
you said you could bring things, wine or hobbies.
Oh, what do you
So
got
now
there?
that I thought I have to show this off.
Oh my God,
we'll
what
have to
is
do
this?
a photo.
Wait, what is
So
this?
I started making this for my grandson.
So this is a felt people. Okay, keep talking about it.
This would be like for like a birthday. I
Right.
made it for my for a grandson who was his first birthday, and then his dad, my son, thought it was so great. So as a joke, I made him one.
And these are crowns.
Yes, they're crowns, like birthday crowns.
They're like a felted birthday.
I made him.
Wait, do you sew?
Well, this is pretty rudimentary.
Pretty impressive to me. So you made this.
So I made one for Ryan, and as a joke. And then when he opened it, he was so excited. He got the crown. And then his wife in the background's like, "My birthday's in May," and I thought, "Oh my God!" So now I'm committed to making one for all the adults in my family.
This is your new hobby. Yeah, put it on.
And then,
so it looks like almost like a jughead crown from Archie.
This is going to be for my daughter-in-law.
It's a blue
she's a
felted.
hiker.
Okay.
And she's a project manager for
And
carpentry.
so what you have, just so I explain it, so people can see it. It's felted things with applique upon it, with like a hammer and some vegetables and a.
Because that's this person. She
cactus?
just got engaged to my son.
Is
in
that her
Phoenix.
actual engagement ring?
No.
Okay.
But I mean,
so there's a saguaro.
My son might think it is.
With a ring on
and
it.
she's from Wisconsin.
Well, where is she from in Wisconsin?
She's from Oconomowoc.
Oconomowoc. Good job. That's where my wife's from Green Bay. Well, she's from.
It took me about 10 years to memorize Oconomowoc.
Yeah, it's not that
There's
far
a
away.
lot of letters in that word.
Just go past Peshtigo and keep on going.
That's the thing. Go fast.
Don't go to Schwabenon, and then once you hit Oconomowoc, you're okay, don't you?
It was crazy.
So I love this. So you made these little hats, and you're going to continue to make this. And this
I'm not going to continue.
No, you are.
No.
Beth,
So
Beth,
my daughter,
Beth,
everybody's
on the podcast.
Everyone says, "God, you should sell those." I said, "Well, it takes about 5 hours."
Hold
so
it up to the
was
camera.
this like a
Hold it up to the
$500
camera
item?
so people
I
can
don't
see
wanna
it
wear
there. You're not going to wear it, but I like that, and now people can see it. And so it's going to be on BethCostaEtsy.com, and people can order that. Okay, so I like that. That's your thing. Your retirement thing is making funny little felt things
And gardening.
And
more bubbles.
and champagne. So hey. Toast to you.
Toast
to
to
the Wine Road.
the Wine Road, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everyone go to wineroad.com, and then when you're and if you must go up there, but if you also want to go to SonomaValley.com.
Yeah, that's where you need to go.
For deals, special offers, events. Mom and Dad, thanks for listening. Larry, thanks for the email, and thank you to the special listener who ran into me this past week and said, "Hey, I recognize you," and we had lunch. That was really fun. Send me your questions though. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.